Welcome. These are grammar lessons for Year 3 and 4 children, and this is Week 2. Our unit focus. The aim of this unit of learning is to improve the sentences we use. Last week we focused on the vocabulary we could use in our sentences. This week we will learn about different types of sentences, how to build sentences, and how to make our sentences more interesting. Lesson 1. The learning objective for this lesson is to build effective sentences. So by the end of the lesson, you will be able to recall the different word classes and you will be able to extend a noun phrase by adding adjectives and extend a sentence by adding adverbs. So, a quick recap from some of the work that we did last week. You should remember your different word classes, but just in case you've forgotten, a noun is a naming word, the name of a person, a place, or an object, for example, bus. A verb is a doing word, an action, for example, dance. An adjective is a describing word. It describes a noun, for example, tiny. An adverb is also a describing word, but it describes a verb, for example, loudly. Often adverbs end in ly. And a preposition is a word which positions something in place or time, for example, under or after. Hopefully you remembered that from last week. So, a little challenge for you just to check. Can you match each word to its correct class? So, we have got a collection of words. Some of them are adjectives, nouns, verbs, adverbs, prepositions, but which is which? You might want to pause the video for a moment while you have a think about it, because the answers will be on the next slide. So, did you get them all correct? Let's have a look. Silver and shiny are both examples of adjectives. Kettle is a noun. Boiled is a verb. Noisily is an adverb, and after is a preposition. Well done if you got them all correct. Using these words, we can build a sentence. So, for example, the shiny silver kettle boiled noisily after it was switched on. Or we could rearrange the words to make a different sentence. The silver shiny kettle was switched on and boiled noisily. This time we have put our verb and our adverb at the end of our sentence. And finally, we could start our sentence with an adverb. Noisily, the silver shiny kettle boiled. In this case, we need to remember that if we are using an adverb at the beginning of the sentence, we also need to remember our comma. Now it's your turn. On the sheet available for you to print out, there are lots of lists of words. We have got lists of adjectives, lists of nouns, lists of verbs, lists of adverbs, and lists of prepositions. Now, you don't need to print this sheet out if you don't want to, but you can use different combinations of these words to make some really fabulous sentences. By mixing and matching words from across the columns, you can write some great sentences. So, for example, I've written a couple. The terrifying zebra loomed menacingly over the tiny ant. And another example, silently, The clever boy struggled through the test. It doesn't matter what order you put your words in. They don't have to be in the order of the columns, but your sentences do need to make sense. And they must be written out carefully. Make sure you copy the spelling of each word correctly, and don't forget your capital letters and full stops. Have fun, and I will see you tomorrow. Welcome to lesson 2. Our learning objective for this lesson is to build effective sentences. So by the end of this lesson, you will be able to extend a sentence by adding adjectives and adverbs. You will also be able to extend a sentence by adding a preposition, and you will even be able to extend a sentence by adding a conjunction and a further clause. So here we have a simple sentence. A simple sentence is made up of a noun, the girl, and a verb, walked. The girl walked. That's about as simple as a sentence could get. And we're going to have a little look at how we can make this sentence more interesting by extending it in different ways. How can we improve this sentence? I want you to just pause for a moment and have a little think. Well, the first thing we could do is to add some adjectives, an adverb, and perhaps strengthen the verb. So my new sentence says this: the frail young girl tiptoed quietly. We've kept the noun the same, but we've added in 2 adjectives to tell our reader what kind of girl we're talking about. Frail and young are both adjectives. We've added an adverb at the end here, quietly, and we've used a better verb. It's a stronger verb, tiptoed, because it gives us more information about what's going on here. Already our sentence is better, but there are definitely more ways that we can improve it. So we could add some prepositions. You can already see our sentence is much longer. The new sentence says this: the young girl tiptoed quietly across the room towards the broken window. So by adding prepositions, I've extended my sentence and therefore been able to give the reader some more information. The prepositions I've chosen to use are across and towards. And my sentence is getting better all the time. But finally, we can extend it by adding a conjunction. Now, in case you've forgotten, a conjunction is a word that joins different parts of a sentence together, and it enables us to add more ideas to our sentence. So my new sentence says this: the frail young girl tiptoed quietly across the room towards the broken window when suddenly, and you will have to finish the sentence yourself. The conjunction I chose to use was when, and that enabled me to extend my sentence by adding in a new idea. And I'd need to finish this part of the sentence really to make it the best that it could be, unless I wanted my reader to end on a cliffhanger, of course. Now it's your turn. So there is a sheet for you to have a look at with examples of what we've just been through for you to, as a reminder. And then there are some sentences for you to try. In the same way that I did, I'd like you to improve and extend the very simple sentences that I've given you as examples. Good luck, and I will see you tomorrow. Welcome back to lesson 3. Our learning objective for this lesson is to write effective sentences. We started this work yesterday and we're going to continue today. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to write a correctly punctuated sentence. You will also be able to find ways to extend and improve a simple sentence, and you'll be able to write some more of your own effective sentences. Now, to give you a little bit of practice, if you click on the link below, it takes you to a game called Trapped, where you can practice extending and improving sentences in a variety of different ways. When you've finished playing the game, come back because there's some work for you to do. Now it's your turn. I'd like you to have a look at this sheet, and on this sheet there is an example of how a very boring simple sentence, "the car drove down the road," has been improved and extended to make a much more effective and interesting sentence. The new sentence after its improvement sounds like this. At the crack of dawn, the polished red Ferrari sped erratically along the steep, narrow and winding mountain road. Geoffrey Fox was in a hurry. I'd like you to use that example to help you improve your own boring sentence. He opened the door. Now, there are lots of ways you can improve and extend that sentence to make it brilliant and not boring. There are lots of examples on the sheet, and of course you can remember the work we did last week on vocabulary and try to include some lovely Tier 2 vocabulary in your sentence. Have fun, and I'll see you tomorrow. Welcome to lesson 4. Our learning objective for this lesson is to know the difference between past and present tense. So by the end of this lesson, you will know the difference between past and present tense, and you'll also be able to rewrite a sentence that's written in the present tense so that it's in the past tense, and a sentence that's in the past tense so that it's in the present tense. Some background knowledge for you. Present tense. Now, if you look at the verbs in a sentence, they will help you to work out when the events in the sentence took place. If writing is in the present tense, it means that the events or actions are happening right now. So, for example, she walks along the road or she is walking along the road are both examples of present tense sentences. And it's the verb walks, is walking, that gives us the clue that this is in the present tense. If this wasn't in the present tense, those verbs would look different. Past tense. If writing is in the past tense, it means that the events or actions have already happened. For example, she walked along the road or she was walking along the road. Here our verbs have changed. Walked, was walking, and so we know that these sentences are in the past tense. Keeping our writing in the correct tense and keeping it in the same tense all the way through is really important. Just like last week, if you click the button below, that will take you to the BBC Bitesize website, where there is a place for you to practice your tenses a little more. And when you've had some practice and you've finished the activities that you find there, come back because there's some work for you to do. Now it's your turn. There is a sheet for you to have a look at. There are 2 pieces of text, and your job is to check the tense and to change the tense. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow. Welcome to lesson 5. Our learning objective for this lesson is to edit and improve our writing. So by the end of this lesson, you will have had the chance to practice identifying mistakes in a piece of writing, and you will also be able to identify ways to improve a piece of writing and even be able to edit a piece of writing. How to edit a piece of writing. This is one of the trickiest things for both children and people that write for a living. If you click on the link below, it will take you to a 10-minute video which you can watch, and it shows children's author Tom Palmer as he writes a paragraph and then explains how he edits it. Now, he's an author and does writing for a living, and if he can edit, then he can show us how to edit, and we can learn a lot from watching the experts. When you've looked at the video, please come back because there's some work for you to do. Now it's your turn. So on this sheet there are several activities for you to do. You will be changing some words, and you will be finding some missing words, and you will be correcting some words. It's going to take a little bit of time, and you're going to have to really use your brain to think about it. But if you scroll down, there are answers. So if you're a little bit stuck, you can have a look to check your work. Good luck. Editing is a really tricky job, but I'm sure you will do brilliantly. Have a lovely weekend, and I will see you next week.